Hey doll babies, Khaliah Ali here and welcome back to my channel. So on this video we're going to talk about something that's pretty serious and it's a little bit graphic but not too much. I will say that it has something to do with a gun, so you may or may not want to have your little ones tune in to this video, but I would really say PG-13 and up. This is a real life story that truly really did happen to me. All names have been changed or not mentioned to protect the innocent or the not so innocent. And I just want to share this story with you because I feel like I'm in a good space to share it. And on this Resurrection Day, I feel like that it's time to be able to talk to my platform about something that, you know, was a bad outcome, but I overcame, and that is very, very powerful. And I just, want to keep things on my platform, fresh and also informative, and to provide wisdom and just to help people out here that may feel like they can relate to something such as this. So basically, I don't want to give out names or anything like that, or hurt anyone's character, even though my character may be judged a little bit. Hey, I'm okay with that. It is what it is. I'm perfectly imperfect, so let's get it. So the reason why I feel really inspired right now at this time to do this video is because we're, headed into the end of the school year. A lot of young people are graduating and they have this new outlook on life, and they're going into a new phase of their life. You may be going off to college, you may be able to stay home, you may be going abroad, you may, go into a career, you may intern, you may take a gap year, whatever your options are. There are still some that may have things going on that may be altering their decisions, putting them in a bad place, and they feel like they cannot get out. So for me, this was my senior year, and so this is why I want to share this now. And I knew that as soon as I got out of high school, I was going to try to leave my little hometown, still stay in the state of Arkansas, but I was going to the big city so that I could go to college, find a job, and climb my way up the success ladder, whatever that is. But we've been programmed to believe a whole lot of things. So my career counselor, told me all these things. You're gonna get scholarships and you're gonna be able to go to college, and this is how much it's gonna cost, but you're gonna do it and you're gonna be fine, and you're gonna finish in 4 years, and your life is going to be great, successful, and you're just gonna hit all those time stamps and all of those life experiences. You're gonna hit them at the right time. That's kind of what we're led to believe. You gotta find your prince, and you're gonna do this, and then you're gonna go to college, you're gonna finish, you're gonna get married, and you're gonna start having kids, and you're gonna have an amazing career. So my plan was to come to the city to go to college and work, and that is what happened. But right before we were leaving and moving into the city, the guy that I was dating at the time came from a great family. He had both parents in the house. He worked part-time at a factory job. He also was a few years older than me, so I felt like he had a little bit more knowledge on me or whatever. And he had decided that he wanted to come to the city that I was moving to help me out while I started my college journey, because really what happened was my great friend actually was dating one of his classmates, and she was just head over heels in love, and she wanted to stay behind with him because our plan was to go to the same university, stay in the dorms together, and start our, young adult life together at university. And when she found love, she decided to stay behind with him because he didn't really have any plans to go anywhere, to do anything. So in the process of that being our goal, my guy decided that he was going to start selling marijuana. And that really caught me off guard because I didn't ever feel like there was a need for it, like that he needed to do that. Honestly, I didn't have any idea of how I was going to survive because my head was kind of blown up thinking, oh, I'm going to go and get a job at Walmart and that'll be enough money to handle everything because it's a job. And you don't really think about those real life things when you're young and so just immature and easily influenced, and you have all these goals. So I just thought that there was no need for him to even be doing what he was doing. Plus, it was just dangerous. And I didn't understand how he got lost in the sauce and got caught up in it. But he was just like gung-ho, but he was an amateur. And so after a while, it was like, hey, can you hold this shoebox for me and keep it in your room under the bed and all this stuff. And I think at this time, I was sharing a bed with my mom and sister, a bedroom, because we were just like in a 2-bedroom and it was 5 of us, so it was just a lot going on. And so it was very frustrating. All right, I forgot where I was. Someone turned the dryer on. Okay, so yeah, so we were living in small quarters, close quarters, and he had asked me to keep his little stash and his little marijuana and all this stuff in my house under the bed because he would, come into town to see me and stuff, and that's where he felt like it was better off. Now, the first, I guess, sign of disrespect was the fact that he was just doing it to begin with, and then the second sign of disrespect was the fact that he wanted me to keep the stash at my house because, well, I guess clearly when you think about it in hindsight, that wasn't going to be a good look if he was keeping it at his mom and dad's house. So, maybe he just saw me really in this light, like, well, it's better off in their house and their situation. Like, their situation ain't that great anyway. And so I was talking to him about it, and I was like, man, this is not cool. This is not gonna really work for me. But we went on along with it, and then eventually, God does have a way in stepping in and like, hold up, because my mom actually discovered the box. I don't know how I think she had to be under the bed for some reason, and she saw it, and of course she was just like screaming to me because she didn't assume that it was my brothers, because they were in a room together in a different room. And so she was asking me what it was about, and I was honest with her, and I told her what my guy at the time was up to, and she was like, this is not gonna work. He needs to stop doing that, and he definitely is not gonna have his stuff in my house, so that's not gonna work. So I had a discussion with him. I told him what my mom said, and then he was like, all right, okay. And so I wanted to know how much longer did he intend to keep this going, because it was not a good look. And he was saying that he was just trying to stack up some money. He wanted to be there for me. He wanted to support me. He wanted to help me and get me, help get me established in the city to go to college and stuff. So that kind of just like went over me, like, oh my gosh, he cares so much, and all this other kind of stuff, because I didn't really have an example of what a man should be doing or what it looks like or how it looks like, because we were in poverty. So I was just like, oh, I know this is not right, but okay. I mean, I had been around enough and seen enough to know like the outcome of things. I mean, certain movies that were very, very, as you can see, prominent back then, were like, you know, the outcomes were never good when you got caught in these type of situations. And in real life, the outcomes normally are not good. So I was just like, okay, you know, we'll get past this. So my focus went back to, okay, I've got to, you know, get into the city and get to college and find me a job. So about 3 weeks after I graduated, we packed up, we moved into an apartment, and things were looking great, and I landed a job at Walmart, and I started the semester. And unfortunately, the marijuana sales continued on. The funny thing is that in Little Rock, we have a bad rap, and we're known for gang banging in Little Rock. If you've not seen that documentary or know that we're affiliated with it, then maybe you've been under a rock. But like, that's literally what we're known for. And so a lot of people feel like that this place is a really, really scary place to stay. You shouldn't be here, you know, all the negativity, all the programming in the media. And then they had the nerve to come out with a documentary. And so me and my innocence, and back then, y'all know how it was, like, we all wore bandanas, cotton bandanas, to tie our edges down. And so I would have like a blue bandana on or a red bandana on, and I'd go walk out to the mailbox, and my guy was just freaking out, like, no, you can't go outside with the bandana on. What are you thinking? What are you doing? And I didn't think that it was that big of a deal, because I literally had that innocence of me, and I hadn't even, I don't think, watched gang banging in Little Rock. But I was tripping because I was like, you're concerned and scared for me to be in a bandana. Okay, and then so here's disrespect number 3, but you're okay with selling drugs within our living quarters, our space, and putting everybody's life in danger. So it really wasn't adding up, and he was really starting to just vex me, and it was getting on my nerves. And I was just like, you know, but I loved him at that time, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, maybe he'll stop. And he would find jobs, and he would just be in and out of work. Then he would be trying to do his little music stuff and all this other stuff, and I was just up here working, going to school, working, going to school. And so by this time, we were coming down to completing 2 full semesters at the university. At least I was. And, you know, going on to a year in the apartment. And this was a nice, beautiful day, and everybody was chilling at the apartment. It was a 2-bedroom, and usually all of his like homies were there. Like, they would just come up and hang out, stay over, spend the night. You just couldn't get rid of them. Like, even if one went back home for a little while, like, there was someone to replace that person. There was even a rumor going around that I was sleeping with all of them. That is one thing that they did not disrespect me about, was that nobody looked at me crazy sideways. They did not disrespect his and my relationship, and none of that ever happened. So it was just kind of like I was like the queen amongst all the guys, and they did not mistreat me in any form or fashion in that way. They just didn't. And I can definitely vouch for all the guys to say that. So, you know, usually when you're trying to get out and you're trying to do things, you know, rumors, they go and they carry and whatever. And I just had to kind of live with that and let it roll off. It was hard because back then, like, things would really stick. But I think I knew how untrue that was, that I was just like, man, whatever. So I just, you know, kept, you know, living my life. So on this particular day, it was nice. It was great. Everybody was kind of chilling. They were all in the front talking, and I would get annoyed with all the noise. And then I was trying to, like, you know, focus on homework and stuff. So I would just go back into my room and just be back there. And so there was a knock at the door, and there were 2 guys that came in, and I wasn't sure what they were there for, but I had a feeling it was for an exchange. And I kind of like went up and I peeked, and I saw them, but I don't remember what they looked like or anything. Can't recall any of that. But then I ended up just going back to the room. I went back, mind my business, doing whatever. And then I just heard like this argument start, and they were arguing with my guy, and he was getting high in his voice, and they were getting high, and then all of a sudden it was like, he's got a gun. And like, I mean, all of our homies, like, they just ran down the hall to the back to the second bedroom. Like, they just all, and I mean, they were like running all over on top of each other, like climbing up on each other, trying to get in their room. And all you heard was pop, pop. And it was just like gunshots. And I was like, oh my God. And I just ran into the walk-in closet, because we had a long walk-in closet with a door and a lock on it. And I was just in there, and like, it seems like things are going in slow motion, but then again, it's like everything is moving so fast, and when you're in the heat of the moment, it's just so crazy. So I ended up getting myself up, and I opened the door, and I peeked up the hall to him. You know, by this time, the two guys like ran off or whatever, and they were gone. And he was just like, I've been shot. And I looked at his pants leg, and it had like a big entry wound, like it was like a hole was just ripped in the pants leg. And it was just like, you didn't see nothing. And then all of a sudden, blood just started like filling the pants leg. I mean, it was just blood. And he was in such shock that he was just kind of hopping all around throughout the apartment and just moving. He couldn't be still. I guess he was in fight or flight, and adrenaline was going. And he was just like, I've been shot. And he was just hopping around. And so I ended up saying, okay, I got to call 911. I picked up the phone. I was screaming, hollering, shaking. Y'all, was crying profusely. I was just yelling. It was like my spirit was just so angry at him. I was like, how could you do this? I told you this was not good. I was so devastated, you guys. Like, it just hurt me to the core, because I knew that I had spoken to him about this. And so man, he ended up going down the stairs, because we lived on the upper level, and he collapsed in the ground. And like, I was on the phone with 911. I was just trying to tell them, and I was like hollering and yelling. I was like, ma'am, you gotta calm down. We can't hear you. We can't understand you. Please calm down. And I was just shaking. I was just yelling, and I was like, how could you? I told you. And y'all, it was just, I was so upset. And the ambulance, I finally calmed down, was able to give them the address, and I think somebody else took the phone. No, because they were all freaked out and stuff. They wouldn't even come and touch the phone. They barely would even come close to him. And that's so funny about your homeboys. It's like, you think they would have your back? When them guns come out, I guess it's just a different story, because they were very scared. Like, I went to him before even they would. Like, they stayed in the back. So the ambulance finally came. They got him in the ambulance, and they were like concerned if I would be able to drive. I just said, you know, I'll go ahead and just try to drive. I was shaking. You guys, that was another reason why I felt like I needed his support and needed him to come with me, because I didn't even have transportation. So by that time, I did finally have a car, and my godparents had helped me co-sign for this vehicle. So I got to the hospital with him, and they immediately had him in emergency surgery, because the bullet had hit a main artery, and he almost bled to death. It was just so traumatic. And you know, there's another video on my platform that, you know, talks about self-care and therapy. You know, I really endured this type of trauma and didn't have one lick of therapy, but I really have to give, you know, glory to God, because this is a situation that I'm actually able to speak about freely, and it not like cripple me to talk about it, and I don't have nightmares about it. And like, the only thing I can say is that that's just a miracle. Something within me is able to protect me from that part of my life, because it may have traumatized me in ways that I don't even really know or understand. But you know, we are generally very resilient, and because I had to be such a soldier and, you know, get back to the swing of things and fight and, you know, to reach these goals or whatever, I didn't really even have time to think about it or lose too much sleep about it for, immediately after it happened. So I just thank God that he cleared that for me. Like, I'm so grateful. But anyways, of course, his parents showed up, and I had already been, because I had to call them. I believe I was the one that called them. I can't even remember. But they had to be contacted, and they came up immediately, and I was being prepped and all this stuff by the homies about what to say, what not to say, what not to tell them. Don't you dare tell them that it was about drugs and all this stuff. And so we pretty much all agreed to be dishonest and lie to them about what really happened. To this day, I don't know, but I just really think that they weren't stupid, and they probably knew that this was a thing even before we moved up there. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure they knew by then what it was about, but they just wanted to see what we would say, and we were dishonest. I don't know if he's ever come clean to his parents. I don't even speak to him anymore, but that's, to me, disrespect number 4 is that, when I told him that I was feeling really leery and just something in my gut was saying, you really need to put this down, you need to stop this, we got to make an honest living, just let it go. He didn't listen to me, and I feel like a lot of times we get a bad rap for nagging and, oh, you just nagging and you won't let me be a man and all this kind of stuff. But that's the most hurtful thing in the world you can do to a woman when she is looking out for your best interests because she genuinely cares about you, and you just allow what she says to fall on deaf ears. You guys, like, I'ma just impress upon you men, young men, when your girl is really adamant about something and she won't let it go, open your heart, open your damn ears and listen, because 9 times out of 10 it's a gut thing, and you gotta trust your gut. And I just felt like he didn't listen to me. And disrespect number 5 is that we were dishonest with his parents. I mean, so young, so naive, so dumb, but that still wasn't going to help us being dishonest to them. And I don't know, like, that part was just so crazy to me, like, because they were just all like, in that heat of the moment, it was like they didn't really band together. But when we had to figure out what we were gonna tell his parents, all the cousins and all the homies, were banded together. So I knew then that my heart was growing faint for that relationship, for whatever love that was there. It was like disappearing, like a magic trick. It was just poof. I was not there. Like, I feel like my spirit, my heart, my mind for him had walked away, but physically I was still sort of there. Mentally, just about gone. So thank goodness this happened at a time where the semester had ended and we were going into the summer, and I was able to go back home with him and try to regroup and figure it out. And due to how the bullet entered his leg, like, it had to be cut open even more because they had to take some other veins and stuff out of his leg. So he basically had a wound that had to heal from the inside out. And without going into a whole lot of detail, it was just the most disgusting, gross thing that I had to help him with cleaning and changing and all of that. And I felt like I loved him enough at the time to kind of help him, but I was like, I'm not gonna stay here. Like, this is not what I signed up for. I'm not staying down here with his people. I'm not doing this because I had a goal. I told him what I wanted, and he just messed it up. And the reason why I really, really want to speak about this is because I just want to help young people in general just see and know and understand, like, when you are entering into new phases in your life and you may find young love and all that, like, young love is not awful. Like, if it's true and if it's right and if it's edifying to each of you and if it's positive, like, go for it. Just try to do what works for you, and really be in sync. And it's gonna be fine. But when you got somebody over here teeter-tottering and they jeopardizing people's lives and their own lives, like, you need to get out. And if you, especially females, are in a situation, and males, where someone is doing something illegal with drugs and stuff like that, I don't care what it is, you need to walk away, because no handbag, no red bottoms, no shoes, no luxury life that's not earned honestly is worth these type of outcomes, because the outcome usually is going to turn out not in your favor, because somebody's going to get hurt, killed, or imprisoned, and you still gonna be, just in a rut and in a bad situation. And so at the end of that summer, it was like, I have two choices: stay down here, amount to nothing, and no offense, but stay down here, amount to nothing, or push and try to go back to the city and get my education, or and continue to work. And so I chose the second option, was just to leave. And he was not happy about it, and he pitched a fit, and he just felt like that I was betraying him. And I'm like, no, that's not betrayal. That's just wisdom, and that's like waking up and saying, okay, enough is enough. And he didn't respect what I wanted, so how could I sit there and then all of a sudden just take care of him and just, like, no, that was not going to work, because I was pushing to make an honest living, and I felt like he could have done the same with me together. So if you feel like you're stuck in something, you need to find an exit strategy ASAP. And in my situation, I had a couple of family members up here, but they weren't having me at their home. Other than that, I didn't really have a support system, and I had to decide to go into the dorms, which was something that I was trying to avoid, since I wasn't, going with my best friend, because I knew that I was going to really, really get myself into a lot of student loan debt, which I did. So because I didn't have anywhere else to stay, I came back and I got into the dorm, and literally just was stressed out and just in a shell and in stealth mode. People didn't realize I lived in the dorm for the first semester back. They didn't even realize it, because it was schoolwork, and I was just closed off from everybody. So I'm sure that was a form of my trauma, but there was no therapy involved at all, like, not at all. So I just had to get through it with me and the Lord. So yeah, but I really just wanted to let people know that it's not worth it. We're not invincible, yes, young, dumb, and broke is a real thing. It's a real thing, but it's time out for that. We have to use more wisdom, and I can't even necessarily say that just because somebody comes from a good background with both parents, that they're going to always make the right choice. So the thing is that we need to reprogram our minds, and we just need to be open to vibes. We need to be open to the red flags, the signs. We need to just be open to, like, the actions. Okay, you're saying this, but you're doing this, and it's not healthy for me, and I can't continue on in this situation. And when you feel like you're stuck between a hard place and a rock, yes, it is so difficult to get out. Easier said than done. But I'm just telling you, even if you have to go stay in a shelter, if you feel like, okay, I can't go back home because there's nothing there, or if you're in that type of situation, you may have to just stay in a shelter. You may have to just look up some community resources, or find people maybe that you're working with, or something that you can room with if you don't have family, until you can get on your feet. Because I don't want anybody trying to go into debt or anything crazy like that to get out. But like, that's one of the alternatives that I ended up choosing. Like, I went into debt to stay in the dorm because I needed to get back to what my goals were. But had I maybe just left him to begin with and went to the dorms early on, I wouldn't have even had to experience that whole situation, but I probably would still have the debt on me. So life is, it's just one of those things. It has ups, downs, bumps, bruises, great times, amazing times. And that's a part of what makes us who we are. But, sometimes there's things that happen to us that, that's just the cards that we were dealt, and there was no way of getting out of it. But sometimes we just do stuff to our own selves. So that's my thing, is that, if you're aware of what's going on, just move around and keep your peace. It may be very frustrating and very hurtful at the time, but at the end, you're going to be all right, and you're going to come through it, and you're going to overcome. So that's the most important thing, is overcoming that thing. And so that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys, and just give you an honest look into a chapter of my life in my younger years, when I was fresh out of high school. Because you guys are just getting started, and I know you're gonna be so excited, but sometimes you may be misguided, or you may just be careless because either you don't know, or you feel like this is what I want, or there's no other alternative, or I don't get along with my folks, I don't get along with my parents. So we gotta get back to loving ourselves and being full and whole in ourselves and making better decisions. So I just wanted to give that to you guys, because I know that this is going to help somebody, even if it's just one person. I'm so thankful that I'm able to help that one person. And that's pretty much my story of how I survived going through a guy being robbed and shot in our very own living space, and we're both alive, and I'm able to be here to tell you about it. So that's all I have, and until next time, peace, abundance, blessings.